Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lee. Welcome back to the world of the writing.
Yay, I'm here and I'm going to start writing any day now.
That's amazing. I just started writing a new book for the first time. And before we get doing this, we've been starting, and I want to continue doing, like, where should people go to find our stuff? We're going to do this at the beginning and then at the end again. Anything you want to plug this week?
Yeah, so I have the Millionaire Author Mastermind Facebook group. It's free. And I have been posting clips from this podcast on Millionaire Author Mindset TikTok, if anyone wants to go there. Those are some free things. And I post about the courses I'm doing. I'm doing a marketing boot camp right now, but by the time you listen to this, it'll be over and we'll see how it goes because I might do another one next summer.
Cool. And I just got these in for Nink and 20 books. These are we got the poker chips.
Nice.
Six-figure author mastermind. And so if you see me at Nink or 20 books, which this should come out right around that time, like, make sure to pick up one of these from us. Go to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com and, like, I don't know. I guess my big pitch is, like, listen to our show. I'm shocked. I'm like, every week I think the numbers are going to go up because all of the stuff that is happening, and, like, they're just not increasing at the level of like what the value that we're providing. So, like, tell a friend, tell 8 friends, have a watch party, like, everyone subscribe, because, like, Monica said this between our 2 records, which was she's like, I cannot believe that not 1,000,000 people listen to this show, because, like, every time that I listen to an episode, you guys drop so many knowledge bombs on me.
Well, let's talk about this because The Tipping Point is a popular book. Everyone kind of knows. There's a certain level, and then you get orders of magnitude more results then.
Right.
But in the beginning, it's this slow, and that is really where the mindset work is. And ideally, you love what you're doing, because the reason we've got 20 episodes of this podcast is because we are enjoying it, and we are doing it for free, and we would do it for free. We do want people to listen, but at this point, I'm showing up going, well, I want people to listen and I intend to find more listeners, but I want to chat with Russell and I want to dig into this stuff. So there's some love for it. The second that you and I hate this, we're not going to do it.
Sure, even if we're making a lot of money to do it, we'll just redesign. That's what I have learned is, like, if you can make money doing one thing, you can make money doing another thing. I'm really believing this now because, like, the second book of, like, of the Godsverse Chronicles are out, and I have done nothing. And so I'm like, eventually I'm going to, like, figure this thing out. But, like, I tried to do ads and I must have done something wrong because, like, I feel like so I did my first 5x5 I started it about 2 weeks ago, and I ran it for a few days, and I realized it would take, like, a fortune to get all of these things up to the impression limits that you guys set at, like, 400 impressions or 1,000 impressions to, like, get good data. So, like, but I was running it to conversions, and I realized that can't possibly be right. Am I supposed to be running it to traffic or impressions, or, like, what is the objective that I need to do? Because if I do $20 a day for to conversion ads on 25 ads, it will take me, I don't know, 6 years to get through all of these up to the level. So, like, what did I miss?
You can run to a different conversion target. So I would still run a conversion ad because that involves your pixel. And that's the benefit of selling direct on your store, is you can involve your pixel, and you can just go for page views. You can go for add to carts, but page views is going to be the easiest. And you can just start to get some data. Like, can't you get people clicking? This sounds like a bit of an audience deal. And honestly, fantasy and sci-fi, I'm not sure what the Facebook audience targets are. I know romance really well. We talked about romance audience that you can just plug in. And then the more data your pixel gets, the more you can ease up on targeting and let your pixel just ride and find the people for you, because your pixel learns. So that's, again, we're like starting slow, building slowly, and then there will be this tipping point where you have this cascade of success or something happening at least.
Right.
And you're just not there yet. Like you're in the, just started walking up the mountain journey. And that can be really difficult. I am working on a couple projects and looking at, I think about marketing all the time, and I want to turn that side of my brain off, because so much of writing is just about the joy of creation, and the marketing can be joyful too, but it can also intrude in the pure joy and the creativity. And I think a lot of people go through that. They're like, how do I write a book? How do I make an ad when nothing is working?
Right. Well, and on top of that, so like, I think that's so true, but like I had two really bad experiences, the last two books that I wrote. And the first one, I finished a book and I sent it to my agent, and he's like, I'm not doing agent stuff anymore. And like, so like I like lost my agent after the first book. The second book got roundly rejected by the publisher to the point that like the contract was terminated. And so I've been like, aside from us working together on the comic, that like all of my writing experiences this year that are not nonfiction have been, let's call them suboptimal.
Yeah.
And so so it took months and months and months for me to finally like get this book started. And it's another Godsverse Chronicles book, which is, I'm like sitting here while I'm promoting the Godsverse Chronicles, like, and it's not going great, like writing the 14th book in it and going like this is the book I want to write. Like, even if it doesn't make any money, I want to write this. And I know I can at least make it break even through Kickstarter, but it's really hard when when you've like launched a book and it's not going well, or like you've had multiple experiences where you're doubting yourself in a row, or like even like a promotion didn't go well, like anything doesn't go well, it's like very hard to get back to just like that joy of creating, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do? And sometimes it's in the beginning and you just haven't had any success yet. And sometimes you hit career doldrums, what I like to call them.
Yeah.
Where the wind was at your back and now it's gone. What happened?
Yeah, my friend Jenny calls that entering your flop era.
Yeah, so a flop era, and it could just go for a few months, it could go for a few years. And I found it interesting to look at other artists and how their careers spun out. I was inspired by Grandma Moses, because in my 20s, I said, are you going to wait that long? Are you going to wait until your 80s? Or are you going to do this now? Before the kids, before career, before like, are you just going to write? And I said, I'm going to go for it, because I don't want to be 80 before I write my first book, or finish the book rather. And that was very inspiring. I also read, there's kind of like a scatter, like wandering period, and then this focus period. So Pollock was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm painting. Oh, let me put a canvas on the ground and slop paint on it. And it took off. And he locked in, and he did that for 3 years. In fact, there was a paper that came out and it studied a bunch of different people, I think from Da Vinci to Pollock and other people. And they said, yeah, there's about 3 year period where Pollock and Picasso and these people did the same thing. They found something that worked and they just went for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ones we hear about, of course, it's some survivor bias. We hear about the ones who were successful. So they locked in something that was commercially successful. And they did that for 3 years or so. But I think about that a lot because, I have series that I can write a book in and get at least a couple of the diehard fans to read it. And I mix those in with projects that are risky, or they're low risk because I can write a book pretty quickly. So a couple months investment, some editing costs, some cover costs, and it's potentially high reward. But then a book flops and I tend to go, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then I wander some other way.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about this. So Monica and I, as we talk about Writer MBA, are like, well, like, what is the next thing? Or like, what is the thing? Like, how can we actually teach somebody from the street, like, how to make money doing this? And like, how can it be across? Because like we're kind of chaos engines, right? We've got a course here, we've got a course there, we've got a course this, we've got 40 novels, we've got 40 books, I've got like 50 novels. Like, what is the overall theme of like what it takes to like build like an actual career? And what you said, something that just like made me think about, like, it's building leverage. Like really the thing that like doing the same thing for 3 years, or like building a series of 10 books, or like building a mailing list of 50,000 people or 10,000 people, like doing a thing, like you are building leverage. And at the when you start building that, so like what I mean by leverage is like every time you do something, it gets easier. So it's like if you have leverage in a series, it means like you could put a book out and probably you're going to make like $5,000. Like if I put a book on Kickstarter, it will almost guaranteed to make $5,000 a minimum. Right. And it's like, okay, well, like that is leverage built from 15 years of building out stuff and 10 years of launching things on Kickstarter. And like someone who like can get 1 million page views on KU when they release a book, like they have built leverage on KU, like doing all of these things for a long enough period of time. And like Picasso or Pollock, they built leverage by having enough pieces of art in a similar style that they could have gallery shows. Or like Keith Haring created thousands, even though he only was like had a 10-year career, he created thousands upon thousands upon thousands of the same rough like genre of pop art. So like he could have, even though he's been dead now almost over 30 years, like he can have 10 gallery shows going across the world. And like you would, like if you're in a major city, you probably are, and you go to a contemporary art museum, you probably are going to see at least one Keith Haring exhibit. You probably are going to see at least one piece of his, because he's everywhere. And like, so making all of this stuff over a focused period of time, like almost every writer, that's why almost every writer that I know has a series that is their signature series. Almost every author has a signature series. Like even Stephen King, like the king of standalones, has The Dark Tower.
Yeah, and he also has standalones that are all in the horror genre. Guys, this is your homework. Go to the Amazon Top 100. Start looking at some of the top books. Pick your favorites. I don't care who. And you're going to notice, especially if you check over a couple of weeks, because sometimes there's a BookBub book up there that's just on sale, so it flew up there. But I want you to notice how many of those books in the top have a series, or if it's someone like, I'm studying a dark romance author, Rena Kent, I'm studying Megan Quinn. They have books that are really ranking high. They're doing well on TikTok. And I looked at their catalog, and Rena Kent has written like 20, 40 dark romance novels in the same world. Very targeted. So she could do a dark romance standalone, and it's in the pen name. It is not a standalone. Her read through is her entire pen name catalog. Same with Megan Quinn. Small town romance, rom-com, royal romance. I just picked up one, and they're all the same flavor. They're contemporary romance. There's not going to be a werewolf popping out of there. They're going to be humorous and fun, whether it's holiday or in the small town or holiday small town. It's all of the above. So she writes standalones, and I go, oh, this book is #1 on Amazon. But when I look at her pen name and I look at how many of her books have hit #1 on Amazon, I'm going, yeah, they were deep in a catalog that she has trained a readership. And so the leverage is there. And it's just the way algorithms work right now. If I wanted to make a TikTok channel successful, I would do, someone said 6 to 8 TikToks a day, but I would make them all the same. I think the person I saw who grew her account to like 11 million people, she said, yeah, I did 6 to 8 TikToks a day. So I go and look at her channel. It's all makeup. It's all her face. All the videos look the same, which allows the algorithms to go, oh, you are doing this sort of video, and we're going to find you this reader. Oh, this reader liked it, or watcher. And then it keeps feeding viewers, and it figures out who's the ideal viewer and what other channels they like. And then they're just feeding. And it's because she was so consistent with content. Now, in the beginning, you kind of scatter. And Nick Erickson talks about this. Like, you just you scatter and you figure out like, what sort of content do I want to put out? Do I like writing werewolves? Do I like writing royal romance? And I learned I don't like writing royal romance. That was a failure. It was a fine book. I even had Gwen Hayes, who wrote Romancing the Beats. She edited it. She was like, okay, it hits the beats. It's all good. And I'm like, great, put it out there. Crickets, because I hadn't written any royal romance, but I can write a werewolf romance and publish it tomorrow. And like you said, I can get $5,000, or I have leveraged readers for that series or for that subgenre, rather.
Right.
So what are you doing? And if you're looking for success, go and look at the top 100, find the authors you like, find the books you like, and study their catalog.
Right. I mean, this is
see that clue. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing with all 7-figure authors. I've never met a 7-figure author who doesn't have like a massive back catalog of some type. 6-figure authors, sometimes they'll have like if they are writing with, but they almost always got to the place that they were like writing with a partner who is more successful in the same like area. Again, this is not always, but I have never met a 7-figure author who doesn't have like a
deep catalog. I can think of 2, and they both were book talk hits, like massively viral book talk hits. Good for them. Awesome. I don't know if I could recreate that lightning in the pan success. And dude, if I could write 50 Shades of Grey and like sell 150 million books, great. But I know from studying, this is another interesting path. And this is a trend that I'm seeing coming out of fan fiction. And I think if you look for trends, go to manga, go to South Korean K-dramas, and look at fan fiction. Where are the fandoms being built? And 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fan fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Twilight was a Bram Stoker fan fiction. It was vampires, right? There was already a built-in fandom. So you can co-opt a fandom and write on AO3, Archive of Our Own, write your fan fiction. And the 50 Shades of Grey author, E.L. James, was so smart because she did that. Then she built her own website and she said, hey, they might ban my work is too spicy, which is, it had a little bit of a moral panic there. Like, I'm resisting the moral panic. And so everyone's like, yeah. And they went to her website and then she published and got the deal. And I'm not sure the order of events there, but I do see now there's more books being published, traditional publishing deals coming out of fan fiction. They wrote Harry Potter fan fiction. And next year, I think 3 of them are coming out because the fandom was so huge. They were able to then do what 50 Shades of Grey did, which you can't find the names from the original fiction in 50 Shades of Grey. She filed off the serial numbers, as they say. So these authors are doing the same thing. Anyway, This is the trend I'm noticing. But once again, that's a deep catalog because you're co-opting someone else's catalog to build. And if you write to trend, you're doing the same.
Yeah, I mean, John Scalzi just put this big post on his website that was like how he got to 4.5 million units sold. And generally the idea was like, I sell about 250,000 books every time I put a book out, and my publisher pays me about $250,000 to like put a book out. And like, it's very, very consistent. And I've been doing this since 2006, and I have 17 books. And then, of course, then he's like, and that only includes American publishers. Foreign publishers, like, it's probably double that. So, like, he's then taking that, like, American thing, and he's doing translations and audio, and he's, like, making probably $500,000 on top of that $250,000 in other rights sales. And but, like, $250,000 is, like, not a lot for a John Scalzi. Like, John Scalzi is, like, if you are a sci-fi author, a sci-fi reader, like, you know who John Scalzi is, and you've read at least one John Scalzi book, you've probably read Red Shirts. If you like Star Trek, you've probably read Red Shirts because it's like the best, like, that's like it's such like an effective. It's not even a satire, but
is it satire or is it fan fiction? Because that would prove my earlier point.
Right. I mean, but like that's the one that I came to Scalzi from, and
yes,
but nice. You know who John Scalzi is. Probably, like, everyone who's a reader knows who John Scalzi is, even if they have never read John Scalzi, even if they are not a sci-fi fan, because they probably know somebody who John Scalzi is one of their favorite writers.
I do, because I'm on new Twitter, which is Blue Sky, which is actually old Twitter. And I'm following a bunch of authors, and he's one of them because I liked his posts. And now I'm like, oh, good for him. He's very successful. And I love that.
Yeah, but like 250,000 units for like one of the most successful sci-fi authors of all of like out there that exists now is like not that many. Like it's not that many books, but like across 20 years of doing it, like he's able to build this massive catalog. And now he has leverage where like if he puts a book out, it will sell 250,000 units. Like for like he could write almost anything in the sci-fi fantasy space and like it would sell 250,000 units. And like Stephen King has built like 2 million units, and like J.K. Rowling has built like whatever her ridiculous number is. And like Colleen Hoover is like building like has built like up to a place. And like, but like all of that is like the leverage that you build over time. And like we're all starting from zero. And like that also includes platforms, by the way. Like the reason why you should focus on one platform is because like you can then build leverage there. You can't build leverage everywhere at once.
Yes, agree. And that's why I like wandering and being creative and then finding something that works for you, something that you love that you can do over and over again. Because in the beginning, the numbers aren't impressive. And if they are for you, congratulations, you did it. But I'm to the point where, and this is kind of a bummer, I'm looking at writing something new and I'm going, well, is it going to get this level of sales? Which is not something I would ask in the beginning. And so I actually have to ease up the pressure and be like, the question is, do I love this? Because I make enough that it doesn't matter what I make anymore. I can pay my bills. My mortgage is paid off. Do I love this? Am I willing to do it even if it doesn't sell anything? And that's actually the new question. But if you're building, man, it can be really disappointing to go, I'm going to write something and I don't know if anyone's going to see it. And to say, well, 10 books down the line, people will find your series because you'll co-opt a Star Trek fandom and then everyone will read Red Shirts and then they'll find you and you'll be a name. But that's why it comes down to love. You have to love it.
Well, it's so interesting because a lot of people will not read your work until you have enough books out to justify them reading it. Like they just won't, because they think like so many readers get disappointed by series not finishing, by authors writing 2 books, that like there is not every author, not every reader, but like there is a contingent of readers that will be like, oh, they have 10 books out. Like I should at least there's now enough of a catalog that I'm pretty sure like they're not going to abandon their writing career like in the middle, or like they're going to only write 1 book and then they'll be done. Because you are on some level, like if you pick up a book, this is the thing that I don't think it's talked about a lot with like readers, is like they're offering a piece of themselves to you to like build burrow a little piece of you inside of them and to become fans of your work. Like it is not a ton of maybe labor, like physical labor to read a book, but it's a lot of emotional labor to like allow yourself to fall in love with an author's work or like any creator's work. And so like there is a contingent that like doesn't feel like that. They'll just read everything. Like they're book sluts, maybe. Like I don't know, but like they don't feel, or they don't want to go deep with you, or like they won't go deep quickly, or like there are certain things, that kinds of books that you can write that like don't work, that like people can read like popcorn fiction. But like even then, like the compact you're making with a reader is about like, I am not going to abandon you if you fall in love with my work. Like on some level, like you're making that with every reader who reads your work.
Yeah, no pressure. No. Well, I think readers definitely have a very precious investment of their time. And I haven't heard anyone talk about the emotional investment. So this is good. And that comes in romance really strongly, because romance is expected to have a happily ever after. And if you don't deliver that, man, you have broken the trust.
Right. I mean, I have one book that like gets very viscerally negative and positive reactions. And it's the only book that I've ever written that has a nebulous, not like good guy wins or good guy gets what they want, even if they don't. like get what gets the need, even if they don't. Like, it is not satisfying, and I know it is not satisfying. And like whenever I get a review from it, like it's almost always this was like the best book, or because if it's a negative review, it's like I thought it was going to go one way and it like broke the compact of like that I have. But like this is something Forest do really well. Like allow they put shared language and all of this stuff into their books that makes readers feel seen and gets the emotional attachment to the book, not because like the books are so much more incredible than any of the other four archetypes, but because somebody feels seen. And the minute someone feels seen, it draws them deeper in. And every time you can give somebody the context to understand their world better, or talk about their world better, or see themselves in the world, reflected in the world, or see their experience reflected, like you are bringing them deeper and deeper and deeper into their, like your universe, and falling in love with you. Like, I mean, I have very, very, very strong feelings about J.K. Rowling, but like, man, like everything she comes out with is about you, the reader, falling more in love with yourself. Hogwarts houses, Pottermore, like all of these things are designed, like the theme park experiences. All of this stuff is designed for you to have experiences, and for you to better define the way you move through the world. And I think that is like a true gift the true gift that forests have, to allow people to give people the context to understand their world better, and to talk to each other about it, everyone who's in the in crowd, about it better, and like develop that shorthand.
Yeah, I heard someone say community is about if you have a shared language. And I've been thinking about that a lot, because he also said, quoting someone else, I don't know, community is the last frontier. Like that's what we have when so much can be done with AI, but not community in the same way. Like we still are apes who want to connect with other apes. So yeah. And I just think about, you talked about love, and I'm like, yeah, it comes back to self-love for me when I think about sitting down to write something and disconnecting it from whether it'll sell or not, so I can create it, so I can have the space to create it and not judge it. It's not easy because we talk so much, especially on this podcast, about marketing and sales and treating your business seriously. And then when it's just you and that blinking cursor on the blank page, you need to be in a space where anything is possible, and you're not really thinking necessarily about, I guess, the numbers. I do think about connecting with readers, though. I think about the connection, and the first reader is me. So I connect with myself, and do I love this? Is it jiving? Does it feel right? Because I'm working on something now, and I've had a couple beta readers, and I've just figured out, oh yeah, something in the character I was writing wasn't right, and I'll go and fix it. And I think the book will flow so much better. But it didn't feel right. And that was just my instinct. And it took me a couple weeks to figure out how to fix it. But it came back to like, do I love this? Do I love this chapter? And I love the book enough to show up and fix it too.
Right. Well, I think this is why, to me, like being a publisher and a writer is important, to have like my own publishing house, because I can then break myself into two things. It's like when I'm writing a book, like when I contract myself to write a book, like I am publisher Russell. Like this is good. Like this has all of the elements that we need to sell it. This has like all of the things, or like this is just one that's not going to sell very well. Like whatever that is, like I have made those decisions as like publisher Russell. And like once the book is done, it comes back to publisher Russell for like sending off to editors and like sending off to cover designers and developing the place. But like while it's writing, it is like writer Russell. And I don't know how like common it is to be able to break that thing, but overwriting 40, 50-ish books, like it is really important for me if I'm co-writing as well, like who is the publisher here, who is the editor here, who is the writer here, and like if I am the like I'm doing this book with Claire Venus, and like I am the publisher, I'm the publisher role, and I am the writer role, and Claire is the writer role. So like both of us are a writer, have to have the creative thing, but Russell also has to be able to weigh in with like editorial and publishing and all of that other stuff.
Yeah, we wear a lot of hats. It's not easy. So moving forward, you've had 2 launches, and I mean, the good news is you are writing fiction. You're getting back into fiction, and you built this audience. How long did it take you to build this Kickstarter audience? Because you have a successful career.
Probably. Okay, so I started my first crowdfunding campaign in 2011, and I did my first Kickstarter in 2014, and I did my first $25,000 Kickstarter in 2017. So like I think probably I went really hard on it between 2014 and 2017, so 3 years. And
Yeah.
and also what having that $25,000 Kickstarter, what happened in year 1, I was like selling Ichabod. Year 2, I was selling Katrina. Or between zero, which let's say like I launched the Kickstarter in 2014. But in 2015, I was basically only selling Ichabod and a couple of other projects that I have. In 2015, 2016, I was selling Katrina. 2016, I launched a bunch of other types of books. So I launched a kids book that I published. I realized I hate being a publisher for other people generally. I launched a sci-fi book that had a very terrible cover, and I launched a mystery novel. And none of those, between all 3 of those launches, I made less than I did on Katrina the year before. But I knew after the first launch that it was going to go badly. So I was able to go back and be like, well, what is the common thread between all of these books? I was able to say, like, what do they want? And even though I was bombing Kickstarter, I was designing a thing that like my audience wanted to come out in 2017. So like, I do think that like all of that zigzagging and like I must have gone to 150 shows during that time and like sold all sorts of stuff. I sold a mystery novel, kids books, the monster books, like the comics. Like I had so many conversations and met with so many other like people who did monster comics, and I like designed this book called Monsters and Other Scary Shit. And like I remember the day that my life changed. So it was the day I launched it on Valentine's Day of 2017. And the next day I woke up and I'd made more than Ichabod. I'd made more than any book I did in 2016. It was my second best launch ever. And I was like, oh, my life just changed. And then it was because like that's step 1, right? I think like step 1 is like, are you successful? Can you make something that's big? But then it's like, are you a flash in the pan? And so the next 2 years ended up being about like, how can I prove to myself and everyone that like I have more to say than just like Monsters and Other Scary Shit. And so like I did like 3 other books, and I came back to Ichabod in 2019. I did Cthulhu's Hard to Spell in 2018. I did another book called Pixie Dust, which is a graphic novel in 2017. And each of those ones did at least $15,000. And then I finally came back in 2020 and started really doing like 5 or 10 campaigns a year. But it took, I would say, like 3 years of like being inside of it, really, really understanding it. And I feel like also I'm on like year 0 of understanding this Amazon, like how to sell stuff on Amazon things.
Yeah. So 2011, 2014 versus year 0,
right.
Over a decade in on the other stuff. And in 10 years, Martin Luther King Jr. said, the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. And the second best time is today. So you're planting it. You did start planting the seeds in 2011, and our whole life leads up to our creative endeavors. You know, the ideas we get, the media we consume, and it all comes together in this beautiful alchemy. But yeah, when we just planted the seed, you can't come by and be like, well, why can't I pick the apples of the apple tree? The fruit isn't going to come for years. So I think to keep yourself engaged, it first comes down, do I love this? And second, look for the success you can have. So you just said it. I'm writing God's First Book 14, and you can sell it on Kickstarter. That's what you're going to focus on.
Right.
And then in 10 years, you're going to see, okay, how do I do on Amazon? Right. Or on Amazon, you know, it probably exists, but might be in a different format. We don't know. And how do you weather those changes too? Can you creatively survive? Meaning, can you be mentally healthy enough to move forward? And that's a struggle we're all in, whether you're number one on the New York Times today or writing your first novel and hoping that you can find a publisher or that you can self-publish and sell a couple copies and maybe quit your day job one day. We're all there. But I love that. That's what we choose.
It's so interesting because, like, to me, once you can, most of this game is how can I break even on the book that I'm making? Like, even when you're talking about like a big time publisher, like if they can break even on their publishing costs, like they are thrilled. Like if like most books don't break even till book 3, even at a big publisher. So like if you like, I would say 80% of this business is weighted towards, can I break even on the book that I'm making and the publishing efforts and the sales and the marketing that I'm doing? Once you can consistently do that, like you can make everything. Now, that doesn't mean you can make any book sell, but like at some point you're going to be like, okay, if you want to take an experiment here, like this is one thing that I did. I every November put like my weirdest book on Kickstarter, and like the book that like should not sell at all. And I have tracked from like $1,000 to $5,000 going in the last 10 years of like anything that I put on Kickstarter in November probably will make $5,000. And like that's hugely liberating because it means like the worst book that I can make, like the book, the most off-brand book that I can make will probably raise somewhere between 4 to 5 books, which means I can kind of make any book, right? Like that means I can pretty much like I did a mystery novel last year. Like I did a audio drama a couple of years ago. I did a reprint one year. Like I did comics I drew one year, and like probably like, so like what can you get away with making profitably? And at the beginning it's going to be nothing, probably nothing. But then it'll be like any book in that series, and then it'll be like any book in that genre, and then it'll be like any book like
on that platform,
that platform, and then it's like any book I make is going to be. And like that is when you have true power, I think. Like that is when
your handwritten grocery list can make money.
Right. And you're like, yes. So that, and those are like, that's a big, like each of those is a huge step. Like getting a series to profitability is like the secret. Like it's the secret of this whole thing. Like
that's when you know you can have more consistent income, and you can probably be closer to quitting your full-time income producing gig work or whatever. Yeah. And then, so if you're starting, you know, just make the thing, just go. If you are in the doldrums or if you're further down the path, I think my advice to myself, first of all, is lighten the pressure, man. Like, yeah, you want to break through book, you want to break out book, you want to write the next red shirts that puts you on the map. But when you are sitting down to write chapter 1, you need to lighten that pressure up, because any success is worth it. And it could just be typing the end in 3 months or 7 months.
Right.
And that can move you forward, because once I lighten the pressure and I get into the novel, I'm like, oh, now I remember why I do this. I love this. This is really fun. I could probably make a lot more money being a day trader, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do this instead. And I think that, you know, when you hit the doldrums in your career, which you will, everyone will hit a period where they are not as successful as they once were. or not as successful as they want to be or whatever. And mentally you go, okay, this happens. What's next? My worth isn't reflected by this number in my Excel spreadsheet for August 2024. That's not the sum total of who I am. I'm going to write more because I want to write more. And that's where I'm at, and kind of easing up the pressure. I'm like, well, that last launch should have made this. And of course, for me, it's like 10 times what the last one did. And that is not great, because it could just make 1 times, and that would be actually pretty good for me. So what if I just focus on doing that and ease up the pressure? Renee and I wrote a trilogy. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. That actually made the writing less fun. So now we're writing something, and we joked like, we're going to write this in 2 weeks, and it probably will take 6 weeks or whatever it takes. But the point was, we're just going to flush out the system and be like, we're just writing words. I'm going to call her in an hour, and we're going to talk about when the hero and the heroine jump out of the helicopter together. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to be fun. And it'll probably do really well financially because we just don't care. Whereas the trilogy, we put a lot of pressure on. I'm already thinking though, like, how can I do new covers? How can I do discrete covers? How can I advertise this in a different way? How can I bundle in a different way? And that is the truth. All of our work can be on the shelf for the rest of our lives. You just wrote an article that said the readers who are going to love you haven't even been born yet.
Right.
Can you stay on the shelf and relevant until they're born?
Right. Absolutely. Yes, I totally agree. There is one other profitability thing that I want to talk about. So I said series, genre, platform, but also format is the other one. Whereas you can do, like, if you eventually your series, like whatever that, this proves that like SK Prints can pretty much do anything in any format, and like it will make some amount of money. The money that we want to make, no, that did not make the money that we wanted to make, but like it certainly made, it certainly broke even on its costs. And I don't think, like, to me, my goal on any book still now is like, how can I break even on it? If like it does better than break even, awesome. And like, it's hard when like you're paying all your bills with your things and you have like $10, $20, $30,000 marketing spends like a month to think about. But like at the end of the day, I don't think we can ask any more of a book than to break even at launch. After it does that, like it's all gravy to like, and I don't like that. I want every book to be forced to buy me a boat. But
yeah, like, but in 25 years, vampires will come back around.
Right.
And there will be this wave, or TikTok will find you're running up that hill song, right. And you'll Kate Bush your career and have a new breakout hit decades after you first launched the album. And that's the life we're living now, which is very different from when a publisher put you on the shelf or they didn't. Now the shelves are evergreen. And Mallory Cooper said the downside of that on the episode that just went up. Mallory Cooper talked to us about ads, and she pointed out something really correct, which is you're not only competing with all the new books, you're competing with all the old books that are still evergreen on the shelf.
Right.
But I think that is an opportunity, because my failed launch of this year could be my bread and butter series, my successful series next year or a decade from now. And that's very exciting.
Yeah. I talked to my artist for Ichabod Jones Monster Hunter, because we were talking about doing it in vertical webtoon format with the new publisher. And he's like, that's not how we designed it. I was like, why would you do that? And I was like, well, there's an entire generation of readers who do not read comics in the way that all read comics, but do not read comics in the way we made comics. So like the options are either find them or like don't find them. But like you suddenly, like the reason I say a book, I determine that a book needs to break even at launch is because the minute that it breaks even, it is no longer a wait. Like it is like, it may not be a sale, but like when a book is like dragging down my profit, When I'm like, when even if it's $5, I'm like, that's all I'm thinking about. It's like I have to make that $5 so like this book was not a drain and this time was not a drain. That's not good. I wish like if you can be healthier than me, then like be healthier than me. But for me, the minute that it's like, oh, it broke even, I don't care. Like whatever, whatever it does
it's
now,
free
it's
money.
right.
I think of it as free money. I'm like, oh, I wrote that book and then it got it translated, so I didn't have to write a second book. I could just translate it, and then it returned on the translation costs. And I'm like, now it's free money.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, I love that.
And like the God's First Chronicles like has made hundreds of thousands of dollars to me across all formats. And it's just like that book could never not break. Like I guess if I made a movie and it bombed, it would, and it was like then it would lose money. But until
no, because
then,
it
like
would sell the book.
but it's like it could be translated into every language and like audio and never make one more dollar, and it would still be profitable.
Be
And
profitable.
like that is the power of doing a series, and why like this thing we're talking about building leverage, like to try and tie it back into what we're talking about at the beginning, at the end, is like so important. Because once you have a profitable series, it allows you to like reinvest in that series and in other books that might not be profitable, to like, and then once you can be like, oh, anything I write in paranormal romance or contemporary romance shifters, or like, well, that's not going to happen, but paranormal romance shifters, like anything I write could like, I think about like Rosemary Johns. It's like if she writes a vampire book, it's going to sell 1 billion copies because she has 100 series about like vampires. Or like Elena Johnson, if she writes a cowboy romance, it will make $1 billion. It does not matter what like the series is. Like, so once you have that like profit center, you can I'll go for it.
Well, I was going to say it takes the pressure off of that new release, because
right.
if a couple new readers pick up that new release and then they also read 2 or 3 more of your cowboy series, now you are profitable. So
right.
You don't have to wait book 1, and that can be very helpful mentally.
And people, especially like newer authors, are like, I want chaos. Like, I just want to like make whatever I want, and then like money comes. And it's like, once you have leverage, that kind of is what happens. I have no idea. There was a time when I could have said, I know exactly how you bought my book. I can even tell you like when we met, the amount of times we met, and like, because like it was small. But like now, I don't know. Like I can tell you when somebody bought, like the platform that they bought from, because I can like see, but like the customer journey of like how many times they saw me, or who talked about it, or like what they did, or where they found me at the beginning, or how many times they saw my things, or like I can pretty much tell them when they got on my email list, when they bought what they bought, but like and like maybe what ad they saw that like caused them to buy. But like aside from that, like it does become this like chaos engine that like you have to be. I said the other day, I said I used to believe that when you got more successful, things became orderly. And like what I have learned, like I used to be like anti, like non-manifestation, like very like scientific-y, like, and the longer that I've done this, the more successful I've gotten. I've been like, I don't know, like it's all chaos. Like, yes, you absolutely can manifest stuff to happen, because I've just seen it too many times with too many of my friends that they're like, I want this. And then they're like you said, it's like, I wanted a comic. And it's like, then a comic happened. Like it wasn't, it's like not the manifesting that you think of, where it's like, I'm just going to think about a thing and sit in a room and like, I'm going to get it.
No, it's getting it deep into your subconscious mind. So then your reticular activating system filters out the clues. So you go, I want to go to Hawaii. And then if you see, oh, go to Hawaii, $2,000, and go, well, I can never do that. Then you shut it down. You shut down your reticular activating system. But if you keep it open and go, well, I could do that. I wonder how I could get $2,000. And then suddenly you see an ad that says, go to Hawaii to work. And you go, wait, I could do that. So you didn't shut it down. So you have to keep it open. And then eventually something will come as your brain filters out all the data. So it is very science-based, but it also is fun to talk about it in magical terms, because I like talking about magic and metaphor. It's very fun because some things happen and they feel very magical, and here's the deal. You thought your career would be more in control, and you're less in control because more is going on and you just can't stay on top of it. And that's very fun. And it's fun to use the metaphor of magic and manifesting. And
I mean, we both like paranormal stuff. So like,
I don't have a problem with that because it's really, really useful to think of it that way. It makes me happy. And I like to be happy. I don't need to be right. I want to be happy.
Well, and also, and also we just like, well, okay, I can say Monica and I did a conference, like wanted to do a conference, and we found Mel and Tadra, and like we made a thing, and Tadra knew you, and you and Renee like came to a thing, and then like I could but like really all of that is just like chaos magic. It's just like a bunch of stuff like we did a bunch of good actions where we put things in the world, but someone was talking about how like downplaying manifesting, and I was like, look, I don't know if it's manifesting or not, but like if you want to find a duck and like you look for ducks, you study ducks, you go places ducks are, you like talk to people about ducks, you tell people you want a duck, like eventually pretty soon you're gonna find a duck. Like I don't know, like it's like it like however you think about it.
And if telling yourself anything is possible and I don't know how it's going to happen, but it will happen.
Right.
Keeps your eyes open for the opportunity. Then I'm never going to downplay that because that is helpful. That is useful.
Right. I'm going through a point now where like I'm stretched pretty thin, and like it's hard to like think about like nothing is going to work. It's going like I could very easily spiral and be like, oh my God, my bank account's going down. Things are happening and like I'm not getting, but like when you've been through this enough times, like, and you've had this kind of cycle of like, wow, I don't know how I'm making all of the money that I'm making. Like it's chaos. And you're like, wait, why aren't I making the money? Oh, that is chaos. But like you just put yourself in a position to win, and kind of like if you can't trust the universe, and like to me, if I can't rely on like, well, I don't know. I didn't know how I made $200,000 last year, and I don't know why I haven't made $200,000 this year. Like I can put out actions that I know are positive, and I can like hope that it's going to be successful, and know that like if Monica and I always talk about it's like, well, if for some reason enough people don't come to this conference, like we can go sell things. Like we can all like we know how to make money. Like we might not know how to make $1 billion on this conference, but like we know how to write books and do things and make money. And like a lot of times that thought process is what allows you to go on, because otherwise you get stymied and the inability to go on at all.
Yeah. And you're stuck in this spiral where you're not calling, not emailing, not posting about your conference, and you're just going, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And so you don't do the actions. But if you go, well, it's all going to work out, then you just bop along your day. And then someone says, oh, don't you have a conference? You go, yes. And then be like, can I come on your podcast and talk about it? And you're in the space of anything is possible. And I guess that's what I was talking about when you're staring at the blank page going, should I write this? What is the point? What if it doesn't sell? You need to be in a space of, I love this. Anything is possible. What if it does sell? What if it sells a lot? And then just whichever way of thinking gets you to be happy and right, I'm cool with. I don't care what that is. For you, it might be contrarian. You're like, everyone's going to hate this and I don't care. Like, I don't care. Just write your thing.
So I said, I wrote, tomorrow is National Chocolate Pecan Pie Day. And it put me on like a thing that I was like, I love pie more than cake for many reasons. But one of them is that it's a lot easier to trick myself that pies are good for me. And like a lot of the world is because it's like, look, there's fruit in it. There's pecans. Like there's like, look, there's like stuff. I can see like, it's not just like sugar, even though it is just sugar. And I know like we have but like the thought that I had was like, most of life is about just tricking yourself to do the things in whatever way that you have to trick yourself into doing it. Because it's like, it's good to eat vegetables. Like, it's good to like write a book. It's good to market things. And like your brain is like a toddler. And like a lot of times you just have to be, your conscious mind has to be the adult in the room. And a lot of the time the adult in the room, not that I say you should trick your kids, but like sometimes you have to like massage what truth is to make them do things that are good for them.
Yeah, you're like, we're gonna do that tomorrow.
Right.
And hope
Exactly.
you remember in the morning so that they'll fall asleep
Right.
at a decent time at night.
Right. And, maybe you're like, if you do ask me tomorrow, I will actually take you. But the odds of you asking me tomorrow are very small.
We try to keep our promises or whatever we say we're going to do. We try to do it for our kids. But yeah, there's plenty of, I don't know, glossing stuff over and whatever it is to keep us moving forward. Like, for example, they had an active school shooter drill and the details were not communicated to all the kids, and I'm fine with that. And you keep it moving forward. We were pretty honest with them that there's no Santa Claus but that other kids believe in Santa Claus. So if they believe it, it's okay. You know?
Yeah, it's like we all believe things that may or may not be true. So like Santa Claus is like probably not true in this house, but I don't know. Like I don't like I have no definitive proof about what happens in the afterlife or like I don't know.
No, exactly.
You're just like I'm going on a bunch of beliefs of like what I think.
Dude, do you want to know a framework for relieving grief?
Sure.
Immediately. I learned this from Dr. John Connolly, who teaches rapid resolution technique and works with survivors, like works with people who've been through the worst trauma you could consider and talks about how the brain deals with it. And then he uses a lot of metaphor to get you past it. And one of the thing is with grief. So let's say you lose someone close to you, your brain is going, you have to connect with them. You have to connect with them. So that's what that feeling of missing them is and the grief is. And so John says, just like water, you would explain to the child, the water can evaporate and become mist, and it can also freeze and become an icicle. Just like water changes form, people can change form. Our cells are not the same cells that we were born with. But no one walks in and goes, Lee, is that you? No, it's me. I'm still me, even though every single cell in my body has changed many, many times. So I am not my body. So I am something else. And that something else can change form. When my body dies, I will not die. And I believe this, by the way. But if you want to relieve your grief, you go, okay, my loved one, my cat did not die. She's in a different form. And then, and this is really cool, he will connect them. He'll say, your cat is still alive and wants to connect with you, their soul or whatever. So connect with their soul, and people feel better immediately. And I've watched people who lost a son, like the worst pain I could imagine happening, and they connect. And one of the ladies said, my sister was killed by a drunk driver, and I went through such horrible grief. She was ill, and she was able to do a 45-minute session with John, and she felt her sister's presence. And she says, my sister and I communicate. She said, I can't even describe it, but my sister has come to warn me about things before. I've been able to save my patients' lives because my sister has warned me about what they're going to do. And my sister tells me to eat cheesecake and go watch scary movies. And I don't want to do either, but she says, do it for me. And so none of that is explainable, but man, to have someone walk in and they're so grief-stricken that they're ill, and then to give them a paradigm of thinking about things so that they can live their life and be happy, I will never apologize for that. And I really love that grief thing. And if you're open to it, try it. I think about my grandma, my Nana absolutely influenced my life, and I can pray or meditate and I can connect with her. And of course, I might be just connecting with a memory of her, but I feel better. I feel like she's still a presence in my life. And so then my brain isn't going, you're missing her. You're missing her. My brain is going, oh, there is a connection there. We don't have to look for it anymore. It's there. It
closes loops.
And it closes the loop. So if that helps anyone, there you go.
All right. That went
deep.
That went deep. That was a lot. Yeah. Like I have a book called Time is a Flat Circle. And my thing has always been like, oh, well, like I just have to go back and like, we're all here all the time. And like every reality, just like maybe not here in this moment, but like, we all like, physics. And yes, quantum physics. The more I learned about quantum physics and Gödel's incompleteness theorem, the more I was like, oh, even math doesn't make sense and science doesn't make sense. So like, I can't possibly imagine I'm going to be able to make sense of it.
That's good because my plot doesn't make sense right now, and that makes me feel better.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. It'll happen. All right.
It makes sense. It's fine. Just make it cool.
Yes. Like, it doesn't matter as long as it's
enjoy it.
Like, I also did just watch the It Ends With Us, the movie.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And
yeah. It doesn't have a happy ending, but it's a romance, which breaks the rule. But Colleen Hoover could do whatever she wants.
Absolutely. All right. Where are we? Where should we go? Six-figure author experiment. Like, what? Anything else you want to plug at the end?
Thank you for listening, everyone. You can direct your friends to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com. We have all sorts of launch checklists that are free and resources that you can click on to figure out what the heck we're talking about. And you can join me in the Millionaire Author Mastermind, which is on Facebook because I like Facebook. And it has 4,000 people in there.
Yeah, it's a real good group. I like that group.
Yeah,
I don't like many groups, so.
Yeah, it has good vibes. You're supposed to answer a question that says, do you solemnly swear to be a force for good in this group? And everyone says, I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. And I let them in anyway. I
love it. Awesome. All right, Lee, we'll talk soon. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.